New York, to me, my personal opinion, fuck with us, but not fuck with us. And when I say that, is that we've been rocking for such a long time, it's that it ain't necessarily that Dipset, they got to deal with it, because we workaholics. We gonna keep putting music out. We gonna keep being in your face. We gonna keep styling on you. We gonna keep making music, not just music being fly talking, etc.
Some stories hit harder when the dust settles, and this one still stings like fresh pavement. Because when Camron finally opened up about what really went down during that iconic Verzuz battle, he didn't just talk strategy or stage presence, he exposed a wound that had been sitting under New York City's surface for years. Camron laid it out with no hesitation. In his eyes, the city he repped his whole life never truly embraced Dipset the way they embraced the Lox. And the way he explained it, you could feel the disappointment behind every word. When Cam looks back at that Verzuz moment, he doesn't see it as just a rough performance or a tough night on stage. To him, it was like the entire city delivered a verdict. He said straight up that New York City rocked with the Lox. But when it came to Dipset, that love was never real or solid. According to him, people respected Dipset, but they didn't love them, not in the way they loved Jadakiss, Styles P, and Chic Louch. And that's the part that hit Cam the deepest. Because Dipset wasn't just another rap crew out of the boroughs. Dipset was New York City in a whole era. The pink fur coats that had everybody talking, the bold slang that spread through every high school hallway, the swagger, the hustle, the Harlem energy. They put that flavor on the map and made the whole world look in their direction.
Considered underdogs to me, which they shouldn't have been. They had music, and I think that because Dipset is so flamboyant and we got great music, we got anthems, and when we go into stadiums or clubs, people sing along, I think that people were underestimating the music that the Lox had, the features they've done over the years, the work that they put in. And I remember us all in the studio talking about Dipset, and you know, we like listening to the shit, to Lox songs.
They had trends, they had style, they had influence dripping from every mixtape and video. But when it was time for the city to return that same energy, Cam said it felt like New York turned into a freezer, cold, quiet, distant. He explained that the love was never unconditional. It was more like the city tolerated Dipset instead of celebrating them. Folks vibed when the music dropped, sure, but when loyalty was supposed to show up in front row fashion, they vanished like nothing ever happened. So when Dipset walked into that Verzuz event, they weren't just stepping on stage against the Lox. Cam believed they were walking into a room where the crowd had already picked a favorite. And the Lox had the kind of backing that you cannot fake, buy, or talk your way into. Cam said the Lox had the love, the history, the aura, everything lined up in their corner. The moment Jadakiss stepped up with that calm confidence, the energy in the building shifted. It was like the entire crowd was waiting for him to set the tone, and he delivered with precision. Every record from the Lox cracked through those speakers like it was carved into the city's DNA.
And I just see everybody, not just Dipset, because there's other niggas in the studio. Shout out to my man Shula. There was a few niggas. And niggas just was like, damn, I forgot about that. Oh shit, I forgot they had that one. I'm just sitting there like, this is what niggas wanted, right? Let's do it. But we still was prepared. We was ready. But what happened is New York, to me, my personal opinion, niggas fuck with us, but not fuck with us. And when I say that, is that we've been rocking for such a long time, it's that it ain't necessarily that niggas fuck with Dipset, they gotta deal with it, because we workaholics. We gonna keep putting music out. We gonna keep being in your face. We gonna keep styling on you. We gonna keep making music.
Anthems, street classics, moments people lived through. You could hear the difference in the reaction. Fists in the air, voices shaking the venue, people losing their minds like it was a championship parade. And when Jadakiss tossed on that Biggie track, Cam said the entire building felt like it exploded. Walls shaking, crowd roaring. You could practically see the momentum sliding straight into the Lox's hands before Dipset could even tighten their formation. Meanwhile, Cam watched something he never expected, the city embracing the Lox like family, while Dipset stood right there feeling like visitors in their own backyard. And that's the part he still can't shake off. Not the performance, not the technical stuff, but that realization that maybe the love Dipset thought they had was never as solid as it looked. From the outside, people talked about song selection, energy, mic setups, all that technical breakdown stuff, but from Cam's perspective, this was deeper. This was personal. It was a reminder that respect and love do not always show up in the same room together.
Not just music being fly, talking shit, etc. And the Lox really had some good music, and they ain't come to play no games. Now, that was the first Verzuz that went the way it went. Usually Verzuz go, you do a song, they do a song. We do a song, they do a song. They just took advantage of opportunity, started ringing off songs back to back to back. Back niggas start talking crazy. Nigga Joel said, y'all ain't got no shit for the bitches. That nigga, shout to DJ Technician. That nigga throwing the Mariah Carey shit. I said, oh shit.
Cam says Dipset carried New York on their backs for years, yet the moment the spotlight hit, the city chose sides loud and clear. And now looking back, he feels like that battle didn't just reveal who won the night, it revealed who the city truly stood behind all along. The moment Dipset stepped onto that stage, nobody expected the tide to turn as sharply as it did. But as the night went on, Camron could feel the shift in the air like a cold breeze creeping through the room. 1 second the energy was buzzing, and the next, it was like the entire crowd had changed loyalty without warning. Cam was looking around trying to make sense of it all, realizing everything they planned, everything they rehearsed, wasn't landing the way it should have. It hit him fast. The city he helped shape wasn't echoing back that same love. And instead of lifting Dipset up, it felt like the crowd was silently choosing a different side right in front of him. From Cam's perspective, the moment the atmosphere flipped, it wasn't just a performance going off track. It was a reality check he never saw coming. And that realization didn't come from a missed cue or a bad sound check. It came from the crowd's reaction, or better yet, their lack of reaction. See, that night didn't just expose who came in with stronger vocals or cleaner delivery, it exposed who had the city's heart locked in. It was about allegiance, history, and the energy people felt deep in their bones. And Cam was right when he spoke on it. New York can appreciate you, admire you, respect your movement, but that doesn't automatically mean they'll stand behind you when it matters most.
This ain't going right. Then when Jadakiss threw the fucking Biggie shit on, I said, nope, this ain't going right. This is not right. Now, mind you, we losing bad the whole night from the beginning. So I had a freestyle ready that I was going to do towards the end of the night. But we was down so bad when I was about to do it, the crowd didn't even want to hear it and started booing. I was like...
Dipset wasn't just a rap group, and they were a whole lifestyle that traveled far beyond music. They shifted fashion with those bold colors and iconic looks. They built a vocabulary people still use. They pushed independence when labels were trying to lock everyone down. Their impact ran through the streets, the clubs, the culture itself. But impact doesn't always equal loyalty. And that's what became painfully clear. Meanwhile, the Lox walked on stage with a different kind of connection, one built from years of gritty performances, street respect, classic records, and a bond with the city that runs deep. When Jadakiss stepped up, it was like he unlocked something inside the crowd. People weren't just cheering because he was good, but they were cheering because he felt like their guy, their representative, the voice that matched the heartbeat of New York. You could see it in the crowd's faces. They weren't just enjoying the music, they were proud. They wanted the Lox to win. They wanted Jadakiss to walk away with that crown. It wasn't about who wore the flashiest outfits or who had the biggest hits on paper. It was about who made the people feel something real in that moment. And make no mistake, Cam noticed every bit of that shift. He saw how the cheers grew louder for the Lox, how the energy bounced back to their side of the stage, how every punchline from Jadakiss seemed to hit the audience with a memory attached. Dipset knew they had classics, they knew they had influence, but what they didn't have that night was the room.
This is just fucked up. Everything went left that night.
Yeah.
But those is like my niggas, so I didn't really mind losing to them niggas like that. I could listen, you guys, cause I called the nigga right afterwards, like, yo, good win, man. We gonna get the tour going. This, that, and the third. Y'all niggas deserved that one. That shit was dope. What happens the next day? The tour people call.
That connection, that emotional tie is something you can't fake, buy, or force. It shows up naturally, or it doesn't show up at all. And that's why the battle felt so different than anyone expected. Dipset walked in with legacy, but the Lox walked in with the crowd's soul. Every time Jadakiss grabbed the mic, the building responded like they were witnessing history unfold right in front of them. The cheers got louder, the rhythm tighter, the energy electric, and with each moment, Cam was forced to face a hard truth. Sometimes the city loves everything you built, but they don't always choose you when the spotlight hits. Dipset shaped culture, no doubt about it, but the Lox held the people and holding the people is what wins nights like that. When you look at the Lox and Dipset side by side, you're really looking at two different branches growing from the same New York soil. The Lox carried that raw, unpolished, street-tested energy, the kind that survives every era because it comes straight from real experience. Their connection with the city was something built through years of consistency and loyalty, and that kind of bond doesn't fade easily. Dipset, on the other hand, brought ambition, color, swagger, and expansion. They weren't just part of the culture. For a whole generation, they were the culture. They had the flash, the charisma, the confidence, the look, everything that made people gravitate toward them instantly. Both movements were powerful, but only one felt like the city's permanent heartbeat. So when Camron said, "New York rocked with us, but not really," he wasn't exaggerating. He was speaking the truth he lived.
We're gonna have to cancel this tour. What happened? Why was the tour canceled? Because it was a part of the show where Styles sat on my beach chair and we got into a little, a brotherly little tussle. That wasn't none. I went and seen Styles the next day, gave him a hug. That's my brother. But the tour people was like, that didn't look safe.
And honestly, that truth stings because it comes from someone who spent years pouring his energy into the city that raised him. Cam wasn't saying Dipset fell off or stopped working, far from it. Dipset kept pushing, kept creating, kept reinventing themselves, kept dropping new heat, and kept shaping fashion and slang long after their first wave of fame. Their grind never stopped. But sometimes the higher you climb, the more your hometown starts to see you differently. Not as someone they helped build, but as someone they need to compete with. And this situation wasn't about hate. Not even close. It was about perception, because perception is the invisible hand that moves everything in entertainment. It can boost you or quietly shrink your value without warning. That Verzuz moment didn't just feel like a tough night on stage. It created a ripple effect that touched Dipset's brand on every level. In hip-hop, your image is a business all by itself. The stronger your connection with the city, the stronger your numbers, tours, merch, partnerships, even the way people talk about you in rooms you'll never enter. And when the crowd gives their heart to someone else, it shifts the economics. Whether you want to see it or not. Cam understood that instantly. He wasn't just watching a performance slip, he was watching the city's perception shift in real time. That's why he talks about it the way he does today. Because behind the bars and the beats, there's a whole marketplace attached to an artist's reputation. And once that momentum leans toward another team, you can lose millions, not just applause. People don't always see that side of the industry. The meetings, the numbers, the deals, the branding conversations. To the public, it was just a hyped-up Verzuz battle. But to the business world, it was a message about who currently had the stronger grip on the culture. Even with all that, though, you have to give both sides their credit. Because no matter how the night ended, both movements brought something legendary to hip-hop. The Lox showed what discipline, unity, and preparation can produce. Their timing, their transitions, their chemistry, that performance turned into a blueprint for what a flawless rap showcase looks like. They reminded everyone that when a team moves like one mind, they're unstoppable.
And I'm like, nah, that's my man. It wasn't even like that. It's like, no. And then it was mention of gang-related activity while you guys were on stage. So Chicago dropped out, Milwaukee dropped out, and St. Louis dropped out because it was
Dipset, meanwhile, proved that influence doesn't fade just because of one night. Their style, their attitude, their impact on fashion and independence, all of that still lives in the culture today. People still quote their bars, still copy their fits, still chase the energy they introduced into the world. And let's be real, Camron remains one of Harlem's sharpest entrepreneurs. Whether it's music, fashion, or the way he handles media now, he carved out a lane that nobody else controlled. He made himself a brand, not just an artist, and that's something only a few people in the industry ever managed to pull off. So even though that Verzuz loss carried emotional weight and business consequences, it didn't erase Dipset's legacy. It just revealed how unpredictable hometown loyalty can be, and how powerful public perception truly is. Camron's journey is living proof that a moment on stage doesn't decide your fate. Legacy does. He showed that even when the crowd doesn't lift you up the way you hoped, your impact can still echo louder than the applause you didn't get. That's the kind of resilience people underestimate until they watch it play out over years, not minutes. Sometimes the city that raised you doesn't hand out crowns, and that's okay. Because when the love at home isn't strong enough, some artists learn how to outwork the silence. They push past the approvals they never received, stack accomplishments on their own terms, and let the world decide their value instead of waiting for hometown validation. That's real drive right there. And honestly, maybe that's the biggest lesson hidden inside everything that went down. Some people spend their whole life chasing the approval of the blocks they grew up on, forgetting that the world is much bigger than one borough, one stage, or one crowd reaction. Eventually, people everywhere catch on to greatness, even if the hometown slept on it for a little too long. But this whole conversation does raise a real question that doesn't get talked about enough in the culture anymore. Does New York truly stand behind its own artists the way it used to? Or has the city shifted into a place where artists only get celebrated after the rest of the world validates them first? Because that's a serious shift if true, and a lot of careers are shaped by that energy. And let's be real, like what happened during that Verzuz night will always spark debate. If Dipset had walked in with the same tight precision, the same focus, and the same locked-in chemistry that the Lox displayed, would the outcome have hit different? Would their legacy have taken a sharper turn in the public's eyes? These are the kinds of questions hip-hop fans will argue about for years, because the what-if factor is huge. But no matter how anyone slices it, both groups stamp their place in history. That part can't be rewritten, replayed, or replaced. And Cam has already proven that setbacks don't define him. They just fuel the next chapter. He's still moving, still building, still reinventing himself, and still reminding everybody why Harlem puts him in their all-time conversations. Now, before we wrap this up, I want you to think on this. Is the city still a launch pad for greatness, or has it turned into a place where artists have to leave before they get the respect they deserve? That's a conversation worth having. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll catch you in the next one, and don't forget to watch the video popping up on your screen. There's plenty more celebrity drama waiting for you right there.